you guys today. Dijonai Carrington, after clotheslining Sophie Cunningham, running into the locker room, screaming, "That's white privilege!" Then tweeting 8/23, threatening Sophie Cunningham and the Indiana Fever. Dijonai Carrington now comes out and clarifies what she means when she says white privilege for the Indiana.
With 2 minutes left in the first quarter, Dijonai Carrington just slapped the dog shit out of Sophie Cunningham. Sophie pops up. She's obviously upset. Dijonai says, "Try me." And then look at Stephanie White. Look at her face. Look. It's mad shit. Now, number one, this is obviously a flagrant 2. It just is. By the letter of the law, you got to call a flagrant 2. We all know.
That girl needs to be thrown out the league. She's not even a good enough player to be bringing this type of drama. She needs to be thrown out.
After being kicked out of a game, DJ Carrington felt the internet needs to. A lesson, just 2 sentences straight out of the locker room. Neither an apology nor an explanation. White privilege. Days later, she's still out there defending that post, clarifying, retracting, and debating with almost everyone. Who has the courage to resist it? This has become a complete disaster, and to be honest, it could be among the most bizarre responses that a WNBA player has shown us during the season.
Cunningham, otherwise known as MAGA Barbie in the WNBA, is a superstar player. She's one of the most famous female athletes in the world because she stood up for women in women's sports, saying only biological women should be allowed to play in the WNBA. And for that, she is literally risking her life. Check this out. This is what happened to Sophie Cunningham last night when she was clotheslined by a filthy, dirty player for Chicago who has a name that I can't pronounce, or maybe I just refuse to do that. That's my right as an American. But this is a player that has attacked Caitlin Clark, gouged her eye out, that has now bloodied the face of Sophie Cunningham. And as soon as she did this, she tweeted white privilege, meaning she's declaring this is a race crime. Now, if a white woman was doing this to black women, it'd be the #1 story in the world. She'd be banned from the league forever. But somehow black women are allowed to get away with this against white women. And it's white women in the league who make themselves a target by simply standing up for traditional values and common.
Throughout the season, Sophie Cunningham has been among the more vocal supporters of her. Caitlin Clark, a teammate with Fever, repeatedly stated on camera that the league and the officials failed to take adequate action to shield Clark from the physical abuse she endures each and every night. She has criticized several plays, certain players, and even stated unequivocally that some organizations had discussed their desire to show Clark the true meaning of the W, talking like that doesn't exactly make you well-liked in the league. And Cunningham has never truly concealed this truth.
Dude, that's assault, brother. You can't do that. What the fuck? Is this just the default if you can't think? Or if you just like don't want to take accountability for your actions? Oh my god, this league, bro, this league. Bro, white privilege while you're wearing a bleach blonde dyed wig. I mean, the fuck? What is privileged about that? You Stone Cold Steve Austin clotheslined her ass. What about that is white privilege? The WNBA stays undefeated. It truly does. They can't get out of their own way.
It's about Clark's treatment on the floor, and now she's the one on the receiving end of a forearm to the face, causing blood to be drawn. Carrington may or may not have meant any of that subtext. The moment the expulsion occurred, the situation's optics nearly wrote themselves.
Beyond concerning at this point how far from the plot we have actually gotten. And when I say the plot, I mean the basketball. How far from the game of basketball we have spiraled. When we're talking about the WNBA, you know, we used to joke, it's like, oh, 0 days without drama in the WNBA. This league is living up to it at a rate and a level of concern that we haven't ever had. with all the
that's going on in the WNBA. Dijonai Carrington tweeted out white privilege from the locker room of a game that she was playing in. Get this, she fouls Sophie Cunningham hard. Sophie Cunningham, obviously a white person, fouls her hard. Flagrant 2, gets ejected, goes to the locker room and tweets out white privilege in the middle of the game. Now here's the kicker to me. A flagrant 2 has to be contact that can lead to an injury that looks excessive. Dijonai, it was about as excessive as possible. If there was any evidence of there being white privilege, this was not it. What the hell do y'all...
Cunningham is not the only one who has observed the strain. Earlier this year, renowned announcer Dick Vitale offered his opinion. When Clark was ranked as the 9th best guard in a league-wide player survey, the outcome was categorically pure jealousy and anticipating that guys in the league would soon see how much Clark has contributed to everyone, of them monetarily. After the Carrington issue broke, that remark aged in an odd way since now you had another time when a player who is intimately associated with Cunningham and Clark receives actual physical punishment, and rather than widespread compassion. From all throughout the league, you have a head coach gently supporting the aggressor and a former colleague loudly cheering it. Seeing that pattern recur makes it difficult to not question if Vitale had a point.
Right across the face, coming down, trying to prevent the layup, but that is just a hard hit. That's definitely going to be upgraded, I think, to a flagrant 2, Ryan.
I think that is going to be a flagrant 2. There is
Get what you fucking deserve.
And just getting her out of the
Lucky
way.
it wasn't a right hook.
Make no mistake about it, Carrington targeted Cunningham. She targeted her because of her political stances. She targeted Cunningham because of the praises that she keeps receiving. She targeted her with a dirty shot that had absolutely nothing to do with basketball. And then after getting ejected, she runs to the locker room to play the fucking victim card. Like she didn't try to just take off Cunningham's head in 4K. Like we all didn't just watch it happen. That is not competition. That is a grown woman swinging on someone who she disagrees with and then screaming racism when she gets held accountable for it. Dijonai Carrington needs to be held responsible, and I'm not talking about just getting ejected from the game. She deserves a suspension. Maybe she'll think twice next time before she tries to take somebody's fucking head off.
This is what truly transpired on the court, as the play itself is quite simple once you actually watch it. On a quick break, Sophie Cunningham was racing down the floor, wide open, and rising for what ought to have been a simple layup. DJ Carrington chased the play from behind, but rather than challenging the shot, she struck Cunningham across the face and neck with her forearm. Cunningham fell hard to the ground. Even though the ball managed to enter, no one continued to discuss the bucket after that. Play was halted by officials, went to the monitor and increased the call to a flagrant 2, which denotes an immediate ejection in accordance with WNBA regulations. There's no need to argue that wind-up, impact, follow-through, substantial injury risk, and a player in a precarious situation. This play met every requirement on the checklist for a flagrant 2.
Like the way Sophie Cunningham came down on her leg, she could have been injured. So they said, yo, get out of here, dog. Get out of here. Then, I don't know if y'all were looking at her lips. She was talking about, try me. Try me. Yo, you already tried Sophie. You got all the samples of Sophie. You talking about try me. What are you talking about? This lady is unhinged right now, man. This is crazy work. And it makes you wonder. It's like, dog, you were the best player for the Sky at this moment. Look how she landed on the leg. Oh my goodness. Like, you were the best player for the Sky, and you decided to do this? You weren't even thinking about the game. You was thinking about some kind of revenge or something. Somebody sent you on a mission. You were on a mission, dog. I don't know what you had going on here, but Dijonai, this is unacceptable. Disrespectful, disgusting, and I'm glad they got you up out of there. All right?
Cunningham sprang up right away, and her face was filled with rage. I.N. Carrington. She immediately spaced before the two were separated by teammates and officials. Here's something to be aware of. Out, since it reveals a lot about how this league handles emotions differently based on who's carrying out the reaction. In fact, the head of the officiating crew stated after the game that Cunningham's answer was not punished because, considering the intensity of the contact she had just made to her face, the response was considered appropriate. Therefore, even the referees at the time essentially attested to the fact that what had happened to her was severe enough to warrant. She became agitated over it.
Photo from the flagrant 2 on Dijonai Carrington against Sophie Cunningham, where she proceeded to go into the locker room and tweet white privilege after being thrown out of the game. I'm not going to comment on that situation, but I will say this. This is a flagrant 2. Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, don't matter. This is a flagrant. I mean, she clotheslined her. What more do you want? So this looks very bad. It just shows that the WNBA is nowhere near where they need to be professionally, because again, this is a clothesline. It's flagrant 2.
Mention the fact that she said white privilege. That is the story. The story isn't that she got kicked out. It's that she tweeted out white privilege as though because Sophie Cunningham is white, somehow that's why she got kicked out. They go on to defend her, the story, the narrative that she's not a dirty player. She makes plays like this all the time. I put together a little clip of Dijonai Carrington, who is definitely one of the dirtiest players in the WNBA. I don't know if we can roll it, but she's taken her long fingernails. She's scratched Caitlin Clark's eyes out. She's had multiple instances of chasing people down from behind, trying the same SWAT and smashing them in the head and causing mini fights. She pulled another girl's hair. I don't know if we'll get to that clip in a second when she's falling. Totally dirty play. This is not a skin color thing. She has a history of making dirty plays, and it's fine. The NBA, you can be a rough and tumble league. Now, where this thing gets absolutely bananas is when you start making it into a race and culture war, and the people talking about it are not mentioning 99% of the time that she went back and tweeted white privilege. White privilege how?
However, Carrington immediately went to her Threads account and posted white instead of simply taking the rejection and moving on. Privilege, placing the Indiana Fever right beneath IT. AT the time, there was no more explanation. Just those 2 words, which anyone on the internet might interpret any way they pleased, naturally. Since there is no other way to understand that timing, everyone understood it in the same way. She is expelled for striking a white player in the face, and minutes later, white privilege appears on her site, tagging the same squad. Connecting those linkages doesn't need a genius, and almost everyone in the sports world did it right away.
We are paying attention to what Dijonai Carrington did to Sophie Cunningham. It was not a race-based decision. And to call that a white privilege-based foul is to completely undermine the term of white privilege and to also completely ignore the rules in basketball. You hit her in the head, you drew blood, you didn't connect with the ball at all whatsoever. So to me, it was just very ignorant and to some degree asinine by Dijonai Carrington to suggest that that call was based on white privilege. Have we seen examples of white players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. Have we seen examples of black players make that same foul and get away with it? Yes. There was no white privilege involved in that specific call. Dijonai, you hit her in the head and you drew blood.
Emmanuel Aiko intervened at that point, and to be honest, he didn't hold back. He explained on his broadcast why this had everything to do with basketball regulations and nothing to do with race. He noted that the infraction was referred to as so because Carrington struck Cunningham in the head, drew blood, and never produced any interaction with the basketball itself. We've seen white players get away with fouls like that, he remarked, previously, and we've saw black athletes get away with similar fouls. So this particular call was never about a person's skin tone, and Aiko didn't end there. He referred to the entire situation as ignorant and asinine, strong language, but words that perfectly captured the emotions of many fans and pundits as they watched this develop. In the moment, the fact that Aiko didn't just state that Carrington was incorrect is what made his breakdown so difficult. He essentially caught her in real time, revealing that this appeared to be a reaction, passionately in the heat of the moment, and then attempting to rationalize it after the backlash began to roll in. He accurately noted that numerous harsh fouls occur in every conceivable combination of participants in this league, black on black, white on white, black on black, and none of the others ever acquire a label that is so weighty, identifying this individual at the precise moment she was expelled, labeling the precise team of the player she struck, and referring to it as white privilege would never read as anything other than what everyone thought it was. And that's when things really got crazy, because rather than taking that criticism personally, Carrington immediately retaliated against Aiko in a way that further complicated the already perplexing issue. Was her precise statement